First and foremost, I want to give all praise and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachakwadash, double honors to the elder apostles of Great Millstone, and salutation and much love to Yakim out there, pushing out this word of truth and sincerity. And just want to do a quick video on Christopher Columbus. All right, that's in America, he's held in high regards. Okay, they even got District of Columbia. Okay, I mean, they just reverence him, and this guy was nothing but a demon and a complete devil that the Lord used to start the transatlantic slave trade. All right, so that prophecy, this guy was nothing more than a vessel that the Lord used, for prophecy. Okay, so you got a lot of people that say he was the discoverer of America when he never even made it to America. A lot of misinformation out there concerning this guy, which real name is Cristoforo Colombo. Okay, he was an Italian. All right, he wasn't Spanish or he wasn't English either. Okay, Christopher Columbus is not his name. All right, but nonetheless, just read some of this article just to show how this guy's a freaking devil, man. Okay. Let's see. Whether you call it Columbus Day or Indigenous Peoples Day, one thing is for sure: if today's holiday turns up a sea of debate that could capsize even the Santa Maria. While many school books present Christopher Columbus as the famous Italian explorer who discovered America, all right, see, that's what they teach you in these schools, and in these indoctrination camps, all right. That's what they are. They're brainwashing centers. Okay, they teach you what they want. You put a bunch of crap into your head, force feed you, and make you regurgitate all this useless information. And then when it pertains to history, it's all whitewashed. It's all been manipulated for the betterment or for the Edomite supremacy, so to say. All right. Okay, but let's keep going. It says, explorer who discovered America, his story has painted a much more complicated picture. Was the man from Genoa a brave explorer or a greedy invader? All right, and what he was a greedy invader. Okay, it just goes on to tell you how he didn't land in America. Okay, he actually first landed in the Bahamas. Okay. Where is it at? Okay, here we go. This it says he enslaved and mutilated native people. All right, which were these native people, the ones that were indigenous to the islands in Central South America. All right, those are Hebrew Israelites. All right, you can read about how they got here in I think it's 2nd Ezra 13. Matter of fact, let's get that. I believe 2nd Ezra 13. It started like around 30s. Oh, it's actually 40. All right, we'll start at second Ezra 13 to 40. Those are the 10 tribes, which would be the northern kingdom. All right, the so-called Latinos and the indigenous people of the Americas. Okay, the indigenous people that were over here before this devil Christopher Columbus came over here. Okay, all right. Those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Hosea, the king, whom Shalmaneser, the king of Assyria, led away captive, and he carried them over the waters, and so came they into another land. All right, so let's go to this map they had up here. All right, so I wish it was a better map, but nonetheless. All right, but they took counsel, verse 41, but they took this counsel among themselves that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt. All right, so they were in the land of Assyria at that time. They were taken captive. All right, so meaning they were in the Middle East. And then what? They took it to try to get it away from the heathen. All right, to a place where mankind never dwelt. Where's that? That would be in the Americas over here. All right. All right, and if you goes into it, on the other side of Africa, they went around under Africa, and then that's when they came this way. Probably hit South America first, all right, and then they spread amongst the the tribes spread out, and then some of them probably made it up into the islands. They didn't just ride one boat. It wasn't one boat, all right, to take a whole 10 tribes, all right, which is who knows how many people that was, all right. But verse 42, that they might there keep their statues which they never kept in their own land, and they entered into the Euphrates by the narrow place of the river. For the Most High then showed signs for them, and held still the flood till they were passed over. And if you know anything about that region, right down there in South Africa, right, that's like the number one surf spot because the waves are super choppy out there. All right, it's a violent it's a violent sea out there, so to say. So what the Lord withheld it, or held the waters, so that they could pass through, because that was prophecy. It was prophecy that the devil would come and pillage their people, the Israelites over there in the land of what's called today as America, but it's about to refer to it as Arsareth. All right, verse 45. For through that country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half, and the same region is called Arsareth. All right, and if you even Google that, these biblical scholars will tell you Arsareth is America, and the reason they said it had a long, what to say, it said was a great way to go, namely a year and a half, because it took about a year and a half to get from over there all the way to over here to this side of the world. All right, with their sailboats. They didn't have motorized boats in that time. All right, so now understand how the 10 tribes got over there. All right, so now we understand who these people were that Christopher Columbus first enslaved. All right, this is when Columbus first set foot on Hispaniola, which is today's called Santo Domingo or Dominican Republic, and Haiti. All right, he encountered a population of native people called the Taino, a friendly group. They willingly traded jewelry, animals, and supplies with sailors. They were very well built, with very handsome bodies and very good faces, Columbus wrote in his diary. So they were a good-looking people. All right, they were well kept. Clearly, they weren't no savages. If he said they had very good faces, they're very well built and handsome bodies, because he was envying them, because Jake as a whole were better and superior people to these Edomites, man, and it shows in everything. Okay, they do not carry arms or know them. They should be good servants. The natives were soon forced into slavery and punished with the loss of a limb or death if they did not collect enough gold, a portion of which Columbus was allowed to keep for himself. All right, so what? He would punish the Israelites that wouldn't bring enough gold. And who else did they do that to? Who else did the so-called white man do that to? He did that to the so-called Negroes, okay? But he did it with cotton. They called it white gold. That white gold, because that cotton was a very lucrative business at the time. All right, and still is really, but nonetheless, what would they do if they didn't meet a quota? They didn't meet their quota. All right, they would punish them, and just like they were doing to the slaves on the islands. Okay, let me see if I can find this one scripture real quick, because the same thing that happened to Judah, it actually happened to the northern, or the same thing that happened to the southern kingdom happened to the northern kingdom as well. Okay, now it did happen a lot worse. Okay, to the to the so-called Negroes, because they're the head tribe. All right, it did happen a lot worse to them. So Salakia. This is Jeremiah 50:33. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were pressed together, and all that took them captives held them fast. They refused to let them go. And who's all them that took us captives, man? It's the so-called white men. Whether they were Spaniards, whether they were French, whether they were British, they were all Edomites. They were the same ones that took us captive. But what? The oppression started really in 1492, when Christopher Columbus, which was a so-called white man, an Edomite, came over there to start oppressing the Northern Kingdom. All right, which would further lead to all the transatlantic slave trade, which would in turn finally get the southern kingdom over here, so that the tribes could be oppressed together. Which the main place we were oppressed together was right here in America. All right, so I got another article. Okay, this one is called "The Truth About Christopher Columbus." Today I found out.com, and I just want to hit a couple points on here. Don't want to make this too long. Just want to bring out that this guy's a facetious devil. You know what? Let's get that. And then that he's just another one of these devils, man. Let's see here. Shit, I forgot what I was looking for. Okay, John 10:10. The thief cometh not but for to steal and to kill and to destroy. I am come that they might have life, and that they might have it more abundantly. All right, so the thief, which would be the so-called white man, he cometh but to steal and to kill and to destroy, man. And what did he do? Let's see. Let's see here. There was something I read earlier that I wanted to just hit on. Okay, okay, hold on. Okay, here we go. Upon landing on the island, right there. Upon landing on the island, which he would call San Salvador, present-day Bahamas, Columbus immediately went to work finding gold and enslaving the native populations. Specifically, Columbus, upon seeing the Arawaks, the people of the region, come out of the forest frightened of the men with swords, but bearing gifts, wrote in his journal, "They do not bear arms and do not know them, for I showed them a sword. They took it by the edge and cut themselves out of ignorance. They would make fine servants. With 50 men, we could subjugate them all and make them do whatever we want." So that goes to show you that he didn't come with peace. All right, he didn't come to hold hands and make life better for the Israelites, man. He came to put them into subjection because it was the Lord's prophecy. All right, it was the Lord's prophecy that he was going to send these devils. See if I can get that. Okay. This is Deuteronomy 28. And I'll start at 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which Yahweh shall send against thee. All right. So who are we serving, man? Who are we serving? The so-called white man to this day. And it began back when this devil, okay, Christopher Columbus, this fucking devil came over. He was our enemy. All right. And we're still under his people today, to this day. All right. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies with which Yahweh shall send against thee, in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. And look, our people are completely destroyed. First of all, they destroyed for lack of knowledge, as Hosea 4:6 says. But what our people are just destroyed overall. Okay, and it took the Spirit of the Lord, Harachakodash, to quicken certain men and wake us up. And bring us back to our nationality. But what? We still have that yoke of iron upon our necks. Like the apostle did a video, the yoke of iron is the bond is those papers they got on you, man. All right, that social security card. All right, it's not a physical yoke of iron on your neck anymore, just shackles on your feet or fetters of iron. No, it's mental now. It's all paperwork now. They don't took them chains off because they've already conquered our people. There's no more. It's like when you train a dog, or you train him not to run from the yard, or you training him to walk him, right? Well, you use a leash and a collar until he learns, and after he learns, you don't even got to use the leash no more. You don't have to, you know what I'm saying? You don't have to lock him up no more. Now he's submissive unto you, and you've broken him, so now you can let him wander all around free. But what the dog knows in the back of his head that he can't go nowhere. He's locked down. And that's the same thing with Jake today, man. They've been broken as a people, so they've had the chains removed off their feet. But there's a worse chain. It's the chains of their minds, all right? But here's the point. Verse 49, the Lord Yahweh shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as an eagle, that the eagle flieth, as swift as the eagle flieth. A nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. All right, that's what happened, man. The Lord brought these damn devils, swift as an eagle. All right, and what's Esau's bird that he uses on everything? He used it during the Greek time, the Roman times, and the bird today in America is the eagle, man, the bald eagle. And we clearly didn't understand their tongue because they were speaking with either Italian, Latin, all right, Spanish, English, French, languages that our people didn't speak at the time. All right, verse 50, a nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of the old, nor show favor to the young. All right, so it didn't matter if they were old folks or little kids, they were getting mutilated, man. They were getting tortured, treating like pieces of just a piece of turd, man. All right, so let's keep reading here. It says, as other European visitors would observe, the Arawaks were legendary for their hospitality and their desire to share, because that's in our heart. That's Israel by nature. Israel is a peaceful people by nature, man. Our people are willing to give, willing to help. All right, show hospitality. That's in our original state and down to the core. That's how our people are. But right now, they're such lost and confused and have no idea what's going on that they're just brute beasts. They're a product of the environment that the so-called white man has made to make them savages. Okay. Again, saying Columbus about the Arawaks are so naive and so free with their possessions that no one who has not witnessed them would believe it. So he was saying that if you haven't met these guys, you wouldn't believe how nice they are, man. And that's the Israelites, man. And that's why he took advantage of that, man. He can't. All right, here we go. Because it said that he was trying to trade with him, right? What is that? Proverbs. I think it's Proverbs. It's in Proverbs. Smooth as butter. Words. Smooth. Okay, it's in Psalms 55. Psalms 55, verse 20. He hath put forth his hand against such as be at peace with him. He hath broken his covenant. All right, so look, he put his hand, the so-called white man, beginning with this devil, Christopher Columbus, put his hand forward. All right, so he has put forth his hand against him that be at peace with him. Meaning what? He put his hand on them that were at peace with him. He fought them. He ended up conquering them, and they were at peace with these devils, man. See, look, Columbus quickly took advantage of this. So, seeing that they wore gold studs in their ears, he wound it up of a number of Arawaks and had them lead him to where gold was. So, nonetheless, this guy was deceptive, man. He was saying, "Oh yeah, we'll you train or you show us this and that, help us out and whatever." And then he started taking them captive. All right, he hath put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him. He hath broken his covenant. All right, because even when the so-called white man came here to the Americas, all the treaties they signed with the Native Americans, they broke each and every single one of them. All right, the white man's never changed. His MO is deceit. All right, he's a deceiver. That's why we call him the devil. All right, he's a slanderer. Verse 21, the words of his mouth were smoother than butter. So he was like, oh yeah, we'll give you guys swords. We'll show you how to do this, show you how to do that. As long as you help us out with the gold, show us where all the gold is. Little did the indigenous people know he was just looking for the gold so he can send them down there to go get it. And if they didn't meet a quota, then punishments will come. Because really he was there to enslave them. All right, it was prophetic. All right. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. And that's what Christopher Columbus was all about. All right. War, bringing destruction. All right. Bringing calamity upon those indigenous peaceful people, man, which was the Northern Kingdom at the time. All right. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. And there you go, man. He literally had drawn swords on him, man. All right. Just finish off on this. All right, to prove that slavery goes farther back than 1600s. All right, in 1495, Columbus arrived back in the New World and immediately took 1,500 Arawaks as prisoners. Of those 1,500, he picked 500 to be shipped back to Spain as slaves. About 200 died on the journey back, starting the transatlantic slave trade. So the transatlantic slave trade did not begin with so-called Negroes. They actually began with what people would call today uh, um, Cubans. All right. What else? What are the other places? Haiti, Dominican Republic, Dominicans, Cubans, Puerto Ricans. Okay, those are the people that were one of the first slaves. You did have slaves come from Spain. The first Negro Spains came from Spain. I mean, I'm not too sure if Christopher Columbus had brought any slaves with him. I know he brought Hebrew interpreters, but I'm not sure. I'd have to go a little deeper than that to see if he actually brought slaves with him. From my readings today, I didn't see anything that would suggest that he did, but I could be wrong, so I'd have to go deeper into that. But nonetheless, let's just finish this off here. Where was I at? Okay. Here you go. Okay, starting the transatlantic slave trade, the rest were forced to find what little gold existed in the region. According to noted historian Howard Zinn, anyone over 14 had to meet a gold quota. If they didn't find enough gold, they would have their hands cut off. And there you go. That's who you Americans are celebrating Christopher Columbus Day about. This devil. All right, that's the true nature of the white man, the so-called white man, which is an Edomite. All right, Esau. All right, and guess what? Since you did this, look, he enslaved my people. Okay, that's my people that it's talking about. Since you enslaved our people, the Israelites, right? Well, guess what's going to happen to you? Revelation 13:9. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. And we just read that Christopher Columbus, which was a so-called white man, led indigenous people into slavery. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. And we also read that he killed people. And what weapons were they using at that time? They were using swords. So you can take that literal, okay? And among other ways, they would put our people to death. They would use dogs. They would rip him into pieces, drown him. All kinds of atrocities, man. Leave him in the caves to starve. Okay? Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. So the saints, which are the Israelites, are patiently waiting for you damn devils to go into slavery and for us to rule over you in righteousness. With that, Mawat Lababal, Shalom.